Here's ZD Toys Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They are all on similar packaging, but with different types of artwork at the front. The Mark 2 and 3 is the same, with a close-up picture of Iron Man. Mark 5, 6, and 1 is similar to each other, having the Iron Man on this side. And Mark 4 is the only odd one out, with the Iron Man on the other side at the front. And the packaging of Mark 2 is the most shiny. I really like how it shines. The printing on my Mark 3 is misaligned. You can see one side is lower than the other side. Here's the side, is labeled Mark 1 to Mark 6, but the artwork is inconsistent. Again, Mark 2 and 3 is similar. Mark 1 and 6 is similar, having the Iron Man sideways. Mark 5 having the Iron Man upright. And Mark 3 is in a world of its own. Looks different from the other 5. Here's the other side. Mark 1, 5 and 6 have the authenticity sticker at the side. And here's the back of the packaging. Mark 1, 5 and 6 have those individual pictures just like on the packaging of other import lines like Figuart or Mafex. The packaging feels premium and expensive like those import toy lines. The cardboard is really firm and sturdy, not those flimsy cardboards. And all of them opens up this way. It is magnetic. And there is one more cover. It really looks nice. And the figure is behind this. The Mark II packaging really looks great. Look at the shine on it. And all of them have the figure packed in front with the accessories right behind. Here are all the packaging open up, and here's the covers that are in front of the figure. They really look good. Even though the artwork on the outer packaging is inconsistent, at the very least, the inner cardboard has a consistent close-up picture of each version of Iron Man. At the back of it is just plain for these two, and for the rest is just the figure stand. Here are all the accessories, and they are all the same from Mark II to Mark 6. The only one that has a different set of accessories is Mark 1, having two bigger orange effects and one more part over here. For the other 5 sets, all the hands are just repaints of each other, and they have the same set of 4 blast effects. Each of them comes with a figure stand with their armor version printed at the base of it. And here are all the figures. One good thing about ZD Toys is that they are consistent about the size, but sometimes it can also be a bad thing because for Mark 1, it should be a bit bigger, but it's the same size as the rest. And between Mark 2 to 6, Mark 5 is kind of slightly smaller in terms of the build of the figure. But looking at all these figures side by side, they would really look awesome in your Hall of Armor. The Mark 1 has a really unique sculpt. Mark 2 and 3 has the same exact body mold, except that for Mark 2, you can see the sculpted rivets on the torso and other parts of the body. The Mark 5 also have a unique sculpt just because of the way the armor is. And Mark 4 and 6 are also exactly the same except for the torso part over here because they have the different arc reactor. But other than that, the legs, the arms, and even the lower torso are repaints. And talking about the arc reactor for each of them is really good. You can see it being translucent plastic with some sculpt to it. So it really looks very, very good and premium. Like I said earlier, the Mark 1 has a really unique sculpt. It really does look like random bits of armor was attached to a person. You can see the gaps at the arms over here and also on the other side. And at the legs, you can see like the pants on the inside. And at the back over here, it is exposed because there is the part over here to attach the engine looking thingy at the back. I mean, look at the paintwork. It's really, really good. It's weathered. Look at the thigh area. And yeah, this is really excellent stuff. The only thing about this figure is the articulation isn't as good as the rest of these Iron Man figures. The arms only have a single hinge joint, I think. Yeah, and it cannot move much because of this molding over here, this armor part. That's the only movement it can do. And there isn't any bicep swivel. The arms can only go up this much to the side. and it can rotate. So yeah, this is the only thing it can do to point the flamethrower to someone. Can't have any rotation of the arms. There isn't any waist swivel. And look at the sculpt. Even this chain over here really looks good, sculpted well with good paintwork. The legs able to bend this much. Single hinge, knee joint. Able to open up this much only. There is the thigh swivel and a decent movement to the front. So in terms of articulation, a bit limited in the posing, but it really is a good figure. You don't really need this to be doing some dynamic poses. This Mark 1 definitely sizes up well with the Marvel Legends Iron Man, and is 100 times better than the Marvel Legends Mark 1. Look at that. Looks like a kid is in the armor. As I've shared earlier, the Mark 2 and 3 have the same body mold, except that the Mark 2 has rivets on the torso, the forearm, and also the thigh. And at the head as well. The arc reactor is exactly the same and it looks really good, with the circular translucent plastic around the smaller silver circle. The paintwork and sculpt of the circuit under the neck looks really good. It really stands out for the Mark 3, but not so for the Mark 2 because the whole figure is in silver. And at the back, you can lift up this flap. This is really an awesome feature. And for Mark 3, the inner side is painted silver and you can see the sculpted dots on the inner side. And here's both of them with the flaps at the back out. As I mentioned earlier, Mark 4 and 6 are exactly the same except for their paintwork and the torso only. Both the arc reactors looking good. This one looks really similar to the Mark 3, but it is slightly different. There is some sculpted line on the inner silver circle on the Mark 3 compared to the smooth inner circle on the Mark 4. And back to Mark 4 and 6. The Mark 6 reactor looks really good. You can see the sculpted circular arc reactor within the triangle. The difference in paintwork is that for Mark 6, the shoulder ball and the bicep is painted silver. And same thing for the legs. There is the silver paintwork here and at the knees. Here's the back of the figure. And like the Mark 2 and 3, you can lift up the flap as well. And this one, the flap is slightly longer, revealing circuits on the inside. This time around, the flap is not painted on the inner side of it. Same goes for Mark 6. Here are the figures with the flaps at the back open. And lastly, for the Mark 5, it has a totally unique sculpt. And the sculpt is really, really good. Here's the back view. And I really have nothing much to say about this figure because the sculpt is really great and it looks really movie accurate as well. The arc reactor is totally translucent. For articulation, the articulation of Mark 2 to 6 are all similar. The head is only able to look up this much and downwards. Able to rotate left and right. For the arms, it can kind of like extend out a bit. There, you can see that movement. And you can lift it up to the side this much. Bicep swivel. Double hinge elbow joints. The wrist is able to rotate all around and a bit of movement left and right and up and down. It is on a double ball peg joint. There. The shoulder pads are loosely attached. And for the mid-torso joint, it doesn't really allow much movement, just sideways like this. But in terms of front and back, that's the only movement. And it can't really rotate. I mean, if you were to force it, I think you're going to spoil the plastic. So yeah, this is the only amount of rotation. It's really kind of bad. For the legs, it has the drop down thigh joint. There is thigh swivel. The leg is able to move forward this much after the drop down. Double hinge knee joints. And the ankle is able to rotate all around. I think it's on a ball peg joint as well. I'm really not sure how to make this do the superhero landing pose. If I let it go, it will drop. So for articulation, definitely Figuart and Mafex does it way better. Even Marvel Legends did it better, I feel. But at the price point, and the quality of the sculpt and the paintwork, I think the articulation on this figure is decent enough. And lastly, for size comparison, here's Marvel Legends Steve Rogers and Marvel Legends Iron Man Mark III. The ZD Toys Iron Man figures are definitely bigger sized. Just a quick look at the accessories. You have these two hands which are similar. They are doing the repulsor blast, but one of them have the hole to insert the blast effect. The other one doesn't have those holes. And this one is when the hands are straight down by the side, because the hole is at the bottom. And there's two pairs of blast effect because two is for the hands and the other two is for the bottom of the foot. So overall, these ZD Toys Iron Man figures actually really looks good. The sculpt is great. The paintwork literally has no paint blemish at all. Kind of flawless. The packaging is quite premium. And the price point is definitely way better than the other import toy lines like Mayfax or Figuarts or Figma or Yamaguchi Revoltech. I guess the only thing that you need to take into consideration is the size. Because it is Marvel Select size, about 1/10 scale. And if you are into dynamic poses, these figures aren't for you. And they do feel fragile as well, just like the Figuart or Mayfax figures. If you were to drop it, I think you're going to damage it, unlike Marvel Legends, which is more solid, of course. And so far, ZD Toys are producing even more of these MCU Iron Man armors. They have the Mark 50, Mark 85, and also a few more recent reveals. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe to my channel and check out my other reviews.